My name is Bill. Obviously, these are my associates. So, this is the Healing and Resistance Voices of Youth in Uptown Immigrant Households Oral History Project presented by the S2 Final Class of 2020.
Back in fall 2021, when COVID was still going on, a group of us as S2 6th graders at the time started working with Dr. Samuel Feinstein on a youth research project. We were looking at our own social and emotional growth just a few months into the Biden administration. 10 of us, including Aslan, Juju, and I, took a brand new class at School and Square called Becoming Youth Researcher. In it, we learned real research skills, how to design a project, make interviews, questions, collect and study data, write like college student, and present our work to the public.
By fall 2024, the project became part of the high school curriculum for all 112 ninth graders at S2, which means that each student here has been trained to write an interview or be interviewed themselves.
Now that we're in year 5, we collected over 400 interviews. Each semester, we, the students, update and improve the projects. We are designing the project because we are the experts in our own life, and we know how to get real stories from our classmates that show what our generation and community is going through and what lessons people need to know.
Last year, we kicked off the high school grand opening with a big panel featuring students and alumni. We showed the S2 community what our own history work is all about.
We published an academic article in the middle school journal and submitted another in Youth and Society that 16 10th graders, including all of us here today, are listed troll authors.
Some of the folks on this stage attended the Oral History Association in Cincinnati. More of us will be going in the show in Atlanta in October.
When we were in middle school studying our own social and emotional growth, our project focused on the pressure young people face.
We found that a lot of us felt stressed about school, worried about failing, letting our families down, and not reaching the future we want.
We also carried health anxiety since we went through COVID and dealt with health issues for ourselves and our families when we dealt with both areas.
On top of that, many of us dealt with big social anxieties. Some people had to hide it by acting tough toward friends, classmates, and even adults.
This study on social emotional learning gave us space to talk about our own personal concerns openly and hear the words of our peers without knowing who said what that mirrored our own.
A culture of critical care started to grow when students felt safe to share their fears, realizing they weren't alone, and that saw that others understood what they were going through.
This work was a relief for us as youth researchers because we realized we weren't the only ones dealing with these anxieties.
Seeing that so many of us share the same social, academic, and family worries could actually change how our school feels and how people see young people, in the words of our own peers. I've learned that lots of people can relate to each other if we just share our experiences and be non-judgmental. Another student stated, I have learned that some of my peers have the same experiences as me, which has helped me think that I'm not great.
By working together on a project about our own lives, we learned that we're not alone in our struggles, and we want to see the creative ways our field deals with. We felt that 6th graders really appreciated how S2 staff worked hard to build strong bonds with them when they first started. Most of the students we talked to in 6th grade said they had close connections with at least some of the adults at the school.
While students named a bunch of supportive teachers, by spring 2022, the person they mentioned the most when asked who they vote for support was the 6th grade counselor, Ms. Melendez. One of our peers explained, she's my therapist. Someone's down, she picks them up. She solves the problem and she plays it in.
When it came to trust, a lot of students saw Ms. Melendez as their adult at school. Even in a school that cares about everyone's dignity, students still look for that one adult they can really trust with their deepest struggles.
During the summer of 2022, Ms. Melendez left the school abruptly, which was difficult for many of us. One of our peers explained, sometimes they don't tell us and it's unexpected. Sometimes you don't even get to say about the bond.
We want the people to listen to us and include us in decisions, especially with all the staff changes that keep happening. With so many teachers leaving in the past few years, students have felt the impact on the middle schools and now the high schools both. It's taken a toll on both our individual well-being and the S2 community as a whole.
According to the interviews, after Ms. Melendez left in summer 2022, some students were hesitant to talk to or trust any adults in the school. By fall 2022, when asked which adults the students turned to, many of those who will be on Ms. Melendez simply said nobody.
Due to our work, S2 Middle School changed how they addressed the departure of staff, organizing listening sessions with students and including students on hiring purchase.
I think it's important to have a space where we can help shape how our education works. And we believe that giving students dignity and freedom makes the school culture stronger. As one student explained, it is important that we have an influence over our education because we are the ones that must live our day-to-day lives from Monday to Friday going to school. But we get to share our opinions on our education. It makes going to school more enjoyable.
This shows how having a say in your school can make you actually want to be there.
We want to be treated like we have a real stake in how our school runs, and we believe that will lead to better results for everyone.
The project became a regular part of our school where it wasn't just a select group of youth researchers, but every ninth grader took part. As we grew up and the political climate changed, we realized themes of our work needed to evolve as well.
When we started high school, we could tell the world was changing around us. We decided we had to talk about what it's like being an immigrant during the Trump era.
Since Donald Trump became president in January 2025, fear has increased as more people realize how vulnerable immigrant communities are.
The responsibilities and struggles faced by youth from immigrant families have changed how we see ourselves, our community, and our country. One student explained, anything could happen because not everyone in my community has a green card, and ICE could really come to their door at any moment. Another stated, my parents are immigrants. They're documented trying to live their American dream. But seeing all these people get deported gets me so scared sometimes.
As 14 and 15-year-olds, we had to face the harsh reality that our community could be torn apart at any moment. One of our creators explained, it's chaotic, to be honest, like all the ICE stuff happening, deporting everyone.
During a 2-day summer workshop, we, the self-selected youth researcher, did a hands-on lesson looking at the old racist political cartoon that showed Irish, Jewish, Italian, Chinese, and Latin American immigrants as lazy, uneducated, violent, animal-like, trying to ruin U.S. democracy and a threat to white women.
Seeing how the same stereotype kept on getting used against different immigrant groups over time, we were asked to draw or write about how we think our community is shown in mainstream media and how we wish we were shown. One student researcher wrote, our president goes up on a podium and mocks and degrades to people that keep this economy alive. Trump is promoting a narrative that immigrants are dangerous and violent. I honestly haven't met many immigrants who have done crimes to justify deportation, but I have heard many news stories of President Trump being convicted over dirty charges. It seems like it's only okay to do a crime if you're white, and yet the second a Hispanic does some crime, everyone turns a lens on them. I want my community to be depicted as what they are, not what they're assumed because someone with a ton of power decides it's okay to characterize us as criminals. It's not okay.
We talked about how we're proud of where we're from, the South Bronx, Inwood, and Washington Heights, but also how people from outside see our neighborhoods as dirty, dangerous, or ghetto. Like one student researcher wrote, my community in the South Bronx is one of the great equity age villages that helps each other. Most people are friendly, filled with culture and love. People in power describe it as filthy and ghetto. That is dangerous. These stereotypes deeply impact my community and shift how we're treated by others.
On top of being scared of ICE and dealing with how the media, people in power, treat us like outsiders, we also talk about the pressure of family expectations and responsibilities that an immigrant carries. One student stated, I had to translate everything for my parents. No one my age should be doing that at all. Like DMV application, what the F is that? Another explained, I feel like I'm a mini adult and I have so many pressures on me. I used to watch teen shows and think, I want to be like them, free and happy, but now I just feel pressure. It's not what I expected.
As youth, immigrant youth, our dreams are often challenged by the fear of daily responsibilities, particularly in times of Trump, which push many of us to take adult roles to help support our family. For some students, they have to go home, help out with dinner, do chores, and do supermarket stuff, running errands. And on top of that, everything that's happening with immigrants, like guardians are scared, specifically if you're Hispanic. I saw ICE arrest some citizen for just being Hispanic. Some of other folks are scared to go out, so it makes us teenagers go out and do their thing.
Even with all the practical and emotional struggles immigrant youth deal with, it's important to remember, like one youth researcher said, we're still just kids. We face the same challenges as other teens across the country, especially being hit nonstop with social media that makes us compare ourselves to fake, edited versions of reality.
We know firsthand how cruel and dangerous the internet can be for teens, especially young women. At the same time, a lot of students talked about how apps like TikTok can be informative, help build communities, and give them a way to relax.
Most youth researchers agree that the negatives of social media take a real toll on their mental health. One stated, "It definitely makes me compare myself to other people. It gives you like anxiety and just unneeded stress." Another explained, "I see a lot of things on social media that make me feel insecure, like I'm not okay."
Young women especially said that social media and the internet in general can be a dangerous place for teens. Looking back at the quotes from the spring 2025 interview, one young woman shared, "When I went on Omegle, I got flashed. Before it got banned in 2023, this social media app was a place where strangers hung out. But it became known for adult men exposing themselves to young girls, including those in elementary and middle
In
school."
our discussion, we asked for a show of hands how many 14 and 15-year-olds in this room had been flashed online. Almost every young woman raised her hand. We saw how these kind of online experiences create a bigger environment where girls feel watched, sexualized, and unsafe, both on the internet and real.
A lot of us went through remote learning in fourth grade while living in crowded apartments, and often without an English-speaking adult at home to help us. We carry the weight of big expectations from our immigrant parents who push us to succeed and reach the American dream they sacrifice so much for.
At the same time, we deal with overwhelming stress of being in teenagers, plus the extra shadow shit that comes with an immigrant household because of all of this. Schoolwork can feel not just overwhelming, but slightly incredible at a high stakes. One student explained, students are mentally drained, mixing with the one amount of school and stress. These are the big obstacles.
In this context, school can feel exhausting, tiring, and draining, as shown by the pictures drawn by youth researchers during the summer workshop. Even though school adds more stress to the lives of already overworked youth of immigrant families, it has also been a safe place for many of us who face big challenges both in and out of the classroom. One youth researcher explained, "Over the last few years, I've always had to stay home and be that babysitter and the hometaker. I feel like I'm carrying a burden that I shouldn't. At school, I feel like I'm free and like I can express myself, but only during the time I have at school."
Friendships at school became a reason for students who were struggling to keep going. One student stated, "I only come to school because my friends make it worth it and motivate me."
Many of us want to make our immigrant families proud by working hard in school and achieving our goals. One 10th grader explained, "They come to school knowing that my mom sacrificed a lot for my education, and I have friends who are so happy to see me every day."
This project isn't just useful for scholars and students learning about oral history. It's changed how we see our own ability to think and learn. As we gather, honor, and take responsibility for our classmates' stories, we started to really own this work and make sure our story is still in the right place.
We've gone through dozens of interviews, filling out quotes and looking for patterns and anxieties, frustration, and goals students talk about. Our goal is to create a culture of critical care at S2 and beyond.
A lot of us want to teach others so we can change how people think about our communities and our generation. To make the present better for us and the future better for the people we care about.
Our first audience is you, our teachers. Next, we'll share this with our peers by teaching it to the incoming 9th graders. Then we'll bring it to the Oral History Association conference before sharing it with our families in November.
A student researcher well articulated the impact of our research when they explained, "This work matters because speaking about our own experiences sheds a different light on topics like immigrant experiences, teen mental health, and our generation's complicated relationship with social media that others are too afraid or vulnerable to talk about. We're writing about these unspoken struggles for others."
We believe there are a few important things everyone should take from this experience.
We appreciate the effort many of you already put into making classroom where kids from immigrant families feel safe, noticed, and able to just be kids. Please keep creating spaces where we can breathe, laugh, and build real friendships. We ask for more support in programs that affirm our identity, like Know Your Rights training, gender-based support groups, culturally responsive lessons, and more mental health resources. These are key to helping us protect, feel, and strengthen ourselves and our community.
We encourage you to remember that a lot of us are quietly struggling. You carry more than you might see. Think carefully about how and when you assign assignments, but to make a class a place of care, as well as high expectations.